Dr. Harmon said, his words hanging in the sterile hospital air like a death sentence. The fluorescent lights above us hummed, casting harsh shadows across his face as he delivered the news that would destroy everything I thought I knew about rock bottom. My name is Dennis Cartwright. I'm 38 years old, and I work as a construction foreman in Newark. I've built shopping centers, office buildings, and schools with these hands, but I couldn't build a way to save my 11-year-old son, Brody. He's the kid with the crooked smile who collects vintage coins and knows every Yankees stat from the past decade. The same kid who was now lying in a hospital bed 3 floors up, his heart failing him at an age when his biggest worry should have been making the Little League playoffs. "How long does he have without the surgery?" I asked, though my mouth felt like it was full of sand. 6 weeks at most. The deterioration is accelerating. Dr. Harmon adjusted his glasses, a nervous habit I'd noticed over the past 3 weeks of consultations. The procedure requires a specialist. Dr. Chen at Columbia Presbyterian is one of only 3 surgeons in the country who performs it. The success rate is remarkable, but insurance won't cover it, I finished. We'd had this conversation before, though each time I hoped the answer would magically change. They classify it as experimental, despite the proven results. I've written appeals, but these things take time that Brody doesn't have. I pulled out my phone with shaking fingers and called the one person who should have cared as much as I did. Renata picked up on the 4th ring, her voice carrying that practiced cheerfulness she'd perfected since marrying Aldrich Pemberton and moving to her Connecticut mansion. "Dennis, I'm in the middle of Pilates. What is it?" "It's Brody. The doctors say he needs surgery or he's going to die. We need $180,000. There was a pause. I could hear her instructor counting in the background. "Dennis, you always were one for dramatics." "Renata, I'm standing here with his doctor. This is real. Our son is dying. He's your responsibility now. That's what you wanted, remember? Primary custody. You fought me for it in court. This isn't about custody. This is about saving his life." Her voice turned cold, a tone I remembered from the last days of our marriage. "Aldrich and I have our own expenses. The twins' education, the mortgage on the summer house. I'm sorry, but we can't just pull that kind of money out of thin air." "You mean you won't?" "He's your problem now, Dennis. You wanted to be the hero dad. Figure it out." The line went dead. Dr. Harmon pretended to study Brody's chart, giving me the illusion of privacy in my humiliation. That's when the begging started. I called everyone. My mother, Joyce, cried on the phone, "Baby, if I had it, I'd sell my soul. Let me talk to Pastor Williams. Maybe the church can help." The church raised $1,800. My brother Nolan was driving his rig somewhere outside Denver when I reached him. "Dennis, I'm 3 months behind on my mortgage. Kelly's pregnant with our 3rd. I got maybe $400 I can send you." Uncle Rupert, who owned rental properties across 3 states, listened to my whole plea before responding. "Dennis, real estate isn't liquid. These things are tied up in mortgages and partnerships. I could maybe free up $10,000 in a few months." "He doesn't have months, Rupert." "I'm sorry, kid, I really am." I stood outside grocery stores with a poster board sign and Brody's school picture enlarged at Kinko's. "Please help save my son," it read. People walked past like I was invisible. One woman dropped $1 in my cup. A teenager took a selfie with me in the background, probably for some social media post about desperation in America. The hospital billing department was staffed by people trained to deliver devastating news with professional smiles. "Mr. Cartwright, we need half the amount up front before we can schedule the procedure." I understand this is difficult, but policy is policy. I set up a crowdfunding page with a title that made me want to vomit. "Help save Brody. Dying 11-year-old needs heart surgery." After 2 weeks, we'd raised $3,247, mostly from co-workers and poker buddies. But it was the hospital janitor named Vernon Oakes, a man everyone ignored as he pushed his mop bucket through the halls, who would write a check that would save my son's life. And the 4 words he would speak to me in that hospital chapel would reveal a truth about loss, love, and redemption that still makes me question everything I thought I knew about miracles. Life wasn't supposed to end up this way. 3 years after the divorce, I'd finally found my rhythm as a single dad. Brody and I had built something good together in our 2-bedroom apartment above the Colombian Bakery on Riverside Drive. The place smelled permanently like fresh bread and coffee, and Brody claimed it was better than any alarm clock. Every Saturday morning, we had our tradition at Mel's Diner 2 blocks down. Brody would slide into the red vinyl booth and order the same thing without looking at the menu. Chocolate chip pancakes with extra whipped cream and a side of bacon burned just a little too much. "Dad, you think the Yankees will finally get their act together this year?" he'd ask, syrup already dripping down his chin. I'd hand him a napkin and launch into my analysis of their pitching rotation while he nodded seriously, like we were sports commentators preparing for broadcast. Those were the good days. The days when being broke didn't matter because we had our routines, our inside jokes, and a kitchen table where we'd spread out his vintage coin collection every Sunday afternoon. "This one's from 1943, he'd explain, holding up a wheat penny. "They made some out of steel that year because they needed copper for the war. Mr. Kowalski at the coin shop says it could be worth something someday." My ex-wife Renata had married Aldrich Pemberton exactly 13 months after our divorce was finalized. I'd met him once during a custody handoff, all handmade Italian shoes, and a watch that cost more than I made in 3 months. He owned a pharmaceutical company, or invested in one, or something that involved making money off sick people. The irony wasn't lost on me now. "I have a new family to consider," Renata had told me 6 months ago when she started missing her weekend visits with Brody. "Aldrich's twins need stability. They're at a difficult age." The twins were 7. Brody had been 7 when she walked out on us, but apparently that had been different. "Mom doesn't want me anymore, does she?" Brody had asked after she canceled for the 4th straight weekend. "She loves you, buddy. She's just busy figuring things out. You don't have to lie, Dad. I'm 11, not stupid." My mother, Joyce Cartwright, tried to fill the void Renata left. She'd take the bus from Queens every Wednesday to cook dinner for us, arriving with grocery bags full of ingredients for pot roast or shepherd's pie. "That boy needs meat on his bones," she'd declare, commandeering our small kitchen. She'd been a seamstress for 40 years before the arthritis got too bad, and now she lived on Social Security checks that barely covered her rent. My older brother Nolan had his own struggles. 3 kids, a mortgage underwater since 2008, and a wife named Kelly who worked double shifts at the hospital just to keep them afloat. He drove trucks for a living, gone 2 weeks out of every month, calling me from rest stops to check in. "You're doing good, Dennis," he'd say. "Better than I would if Miranda left me with the kids." Uncle Rupert was the success story of the family, or so everyone thought. He'd gotten into real estate in the 90s, bought low, sold high, and now owned rental properties from Jersey to Pennsylvania. He drove a Mercedes and lived in a house with a circular driveway, but success is relative, and I'd learned that having money and having accessible money were 2 very different things. The construction job kept us stable. I'd been foreman for Brennan Construction for 6 years, overseeing crews that built strip malls and office complexes. It was honest work that left me exhausted enough to sleep at night, despite the worry that always hummed in the background of single parenthood. My buddy Tank worked alongside me, a mountain of a man who'd done 2 tours in Iraq and never talked about it. "You're doing all right, brother," he'd tell me when he caught me staring at nothing during lunch breaks. Everything changed that Tuesday morning in April. I was reviewing blueprints at the job site when my phone rang. Coach Brennigan's name flashed on the screen. "Dennis, you need to get to Newark General, now." What happened? Brody collapsed during practice, just dropped like someone cut his strings. The ambulance is taking him now. I don't remember the drive to the hospital. I don't remember parking or running through the emergency room doors. I just remember seeing my son on a gurney, his face the color